So, welcome to Metal Wani and Metal Nation Radio. With us today, we have David Haley of Psycroptic. How are you doing, sir?
Good, good. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem at all. You just got a few weeks left for the highly anticipated self-titled album. So, you gotta tell me, how excited and nervous are you feeling for this?
Well, I guess a little bit nervous just to see how people are going to react to it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as excitement, I'm more so getting excited for the touring,
Right.
because I really love the live aspect of it. And recording an album, we finished it 6 months ago, so we're excited at the time. Yeah, it's done. So now the anticipation is just building for the touring that we've got coming up.
Now, you guys have always been known as a crazy touring band. I mean, visiting a lot of different places every time. So, taking this new material live must be a really good feeling now.
Yeah, totally. Every album we like to change it up and be completely different.
Hmm.
And the new albums, it's no different in the fact that we've taken that same approach. It's a lot of them. I'm really excited to play some of the new material live because it's still a bit of a challenge, but it's maybe a bit more catchy and
Right.
a bit more groovy, which is fun as well. So our live sets are still going to have all the more crazy older stuff, but then some of the newer, more thrashy, catchy
Right.
material. So yeah, just to give the live show a bit of dynamics.
Absolutely. Now, you have released a music video, Cold, and also a
Yes.
lyric video for The World Discarded. Now, you must have noticed some sort of a response from your fans. So, what's been some of the best you've heard so far?
A lot of people are digging, I guess, a bit more of the open space with the music. I
Hmm.
guess letting the music breathe a little bit more, and the letting Joe's unique riffing style kind of come to the surface a little bit more, rather than it getting hidden under 10,000 riffs.
Right.
Just letting the riffs breathe a little bit more. So
Yeah, that's really
um,
cool because for me, I mean, and I had a chance to listen to the album and I was like, holy shit, I mean, you guys are back. I mean, it's more like a band from the tiny, cold place of Tasmania and now into that full-fledged tech assault by one of the best technical bands out there.
oh, thank you very much. Thank you. But it's kind of strange, we do get thrown into the technical death category,
Right.
but and I know in the past we've definitely that's been our agenda.
Hmm.
But I guess now it's more we just want to keep carving out our own style without repeating ourselves. So we we can't really top some of the crazy technical albums we've done in the past because you know we did them. So now we're trying to still keep our sound, but push a little bit further.
You guys explored the musical spectrum.
Yeah, totally. We have to keep it interesting for us, and still, hopefully, the fans will appreciate what we do. We still like to play extreme, heavy, fast music, but we also want to get some of the dynamics in there as well, and explore some other realms, just to keep it progressing forward for us.
Absolutely, because I mean it's an incredibly well written album and actually even a catchy album that really gives you guys an identity of your own in let's say the crowded tech death genre. Now, like you said that you prefer to explore the musical spectrum. It's a very simple question. I mean, each and every note is brutal. It's infectious. How the hell do you guys come up with such material?
Yeah, good question. Joe did the majority of the writing for this album, so he's a phenomenal musician. So his writing style, and then us, we did a lot more pre-production for this album.
Hmm.
So we'd record, we'd demo all the parts, we'd check it out just to make sure it's exactly what we wanted to do. So,
Okay.
even before we recorded the album, all the drum parts were worked out precisely, demoed. So when we went into track, I knew exactly what I was doing. Same with the guitars and things like that. We had the fully fledged demos before starting the recording process, which was something we hadn't really done in the past.
Right.
And I think it worked out really well, and it gave the album, I guess, a much more, a bit more refined sound, I guess.
All right. Yeah, it sounds great. So why did you guys opt for a self-titled name? I mean, your first lot of albums have had a really, inventive and meaningful names, and then you come up with a self-titled. Was it like a self-conscious, decision, or it just was like, something you guys wanted to try out?
Yeah, it just kind of evolved that way. We were throwing around a lot of titles, but we thought, well, it's probably about time that we did the self-titled. It's
okay.
I guess symbolically it could mark the next step in the band's evolution. That's where we are now. Now, options are definitely open for what we do next.
That's right. This is your first album via Prosthetic. I mean, your previous two albums were via Nuclear Blast. How did this thing come together? I mean, I keep following all these labels, and I prefer listening to the majority of the roster which is present under them. So it's cool to see how you guys are. You went from Unique Leaders, and then you went to Nuclear Blast, and now went to Prosthetic. How do you guys feel that? Is it more like a stability factor? Or it's just like the kind of good deals and the promotion factor comes here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we like to be with the labels and I guess the artist reps that are into what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, we do like to talk to the labels and see what they can offer in terms of, promotion and that sort of thing. Plus, yeah, we do like to change things up and keep it different. If it was exactly the same label and exactly the same formula for everything,
right,
for every album, I don't think we'd be doing it anymore because it would be just boring. But now, if there's a change in some element,
mm-hmm.
it brings back the excitement, brings back some more of the apprehension. You're not sure how things are going to go.
Right, spark.
Yeah, which is cool too. If everything was perfect all the time, it wouldn't
be interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And if everything was shit all the time, it would be it'd be great.
That's right.
Yeah, we definitely like to just change it up, keep it different. So we still feel like a new band that's starting out. I guess that's the element that the constant change brings, I think. Yeah,
change is inevitable, as we said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now, I as a fan, I mean, I've been following you right from the beginning, so I never expect to be disappointed even one bit whenever you guys come up with an album. That's the kind of assurance I get from a bands like Psycroptic. It's like,
thank you.
I as a fan know what you guys are doing, and you guys of course know what you guys are doing, although complex, but it's always that feeling that yes, it's going to be better time and time again. So this consistency is displayed with sheer efficiency. Is that something you guys, just comes naturally, or you think about it before writing the material?
We definitely think about it and definitely work on it very hard. I guess we're in a position where we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to our fans and people who listen to us to always do better than we did before, or at this point in time we're going to do the best that we possibly can. If that means say we're tracking the album and we've been tracking for hours and we're exhausted but we still haven't got the right take, near enough isn't good enough. We have to do it again. And yeah, so the same with riffs. If we're not feeling a certain riff or a certain passage, even if there's some sort of question mark about it, we get rid of it. We change it. We have to always put out the best possible product at the time.
Right.
Otherwise, it's there's no real point doing it. Might as well going to do something else. If you're not going to give it your all every time,
right?
Do something else. So whether people like us or not, we're still trying to do the best we possibly can.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's how, because, I mean, talking about the music, the boundaries of music, or let's say metal in general, always, have been getting pushed to its, wondrous pasture with land still left to explore. Then there are bands like Psycroptic, I mean, which could come up with more exciting than completely, an amazing structured blend of technical depth and progressive metal as well, which I really like that you guys are, getting into that prog zone every now and then, that little glimpse which you guys give. So is that something which has influenced you as a musician from, various bands you guys might have followed from your, teen days?
Well, yeah, I think Joe in particular, he's more influenced from 80s progressive music and 80s rock and things like that. He doesn't really follow what's happening in the modern extreme metal scene. Yeah, or modern death metal, or he's just not into it. I think that does help give us something unique, because even though I might listen to newer bands and things like that, he doesn't, so it's always going to sound a little bit different from what's happening at the time. So I'd say, we're more influenced by 80s rock and thrash and things like that than, the next super technical upcoming band. Not that there's anything wrong with, new crazy bands, but he just doesn't listen to it. So
that's good, because for me as a fan, I mean, I just noticed a lot of amazing atmospheric or this ambient vibe somewhere in some parts of this album. And there's also like a track like Gold. I heard a lot of those bluesy breaks, or rather stutters, throughout this particular album. So it's more like a prominent spot for me to figure out that the band like Psycroptic is now exploring so much that, for me, in my opinion, this album is nothing but a progressive metal album.
Oh, that's cool to hear. It's a very cool hearing that take on the music, because I think definitely it probably sits in more with the progressive metal scene than the tech death metal scene.
Right,
but it's,
absolutely.
But it's kind of, I guess, bridging both worlds. I'm personally not a huge progressive music fan. I'm more a fan of atmospheric music. So I guess putting those two together,
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Now, getting back to your drums, I mean, you maintain that crazy complex tempo that goes from heavy to brutal to even groovy and jazzy at times. So when you and then your brother, you guys work together on riffs, what sort of mindset do you're into when you're working on these demos?
I guess from my point of view, I like to incorporate things that I'm learning. If I'm learning something new, I'll try to incorporate it into new music, because then it'll help me learn, specific patterns or beats or things like that. Even if they don't work, I might remove it at the end, but I guess that will kind of influence the writing style and how Joe might to complement it with a riff. So there's nothing really. We don't really go in with any sort of mindset other than we want to make some cool tunes and I want to try some cool beats. That's as simple as it gets. But we do, particularly on this album when we wrote it, we had a little recording set up. So we'd press record and we'd just go and jam for a few hours with the tape rolling, and then we'd come back and listen over certain sections. If we were onto a cool idea, we'd say, "Oh, well, that's cool. Let's keep that." So we'd chop out all these little riffs and little passages from the jam, and then see if we could develop those ideas into songs.
Awesome.
So it was very cool to write like that as well, rather than sitting in front of a computer and getting a drum machine pattern and then writing a riff over the top.
Right.
It did help create a bit more of an organic
sound
from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is something we hadn't done too much in the past, but I think it worked out pretty well.
Absolutely, and I really like the percussive elements you guys introduced in the beginning of Cold. I mean, it sounds really mesmerizing and how the song is written. Is that something you explore? I mean, you as a drummer have that percussive side as well, playing on banjos and other instruments. So is that something you do really regularly, or is just that one-off moment which you just want to do it just because the vibe of the song is like that?
Well, I can't take credit for that because that was actually Joe. He did that.
Oh, cool.
So I came down to check on some of the recording, and he was just like, "Hey, check this out. What do you think?" And it was a whole big passage. I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's keep that." So it was literally him just messing around in the studio and trying to piece something together.
Wow, no, it's like we always say that the Hades can come up with any kind of a metal album at an ease. So
Yeah.
then Joe comes up with this kind of a vibe. It's completely different because I thought, okay, it's just your side, because drummers generally have that percussive side as well, which they like might feel like exploring on the metal albums. So it's really cool to see that Joe has some idea about these things.
Yeah, he's a great drummer. He actually plays drums as well, so he's definitely a legit multi-instrumentalist.
Superb. Now, Joe did the production of the last album as well. Now, this time as well, he's taking care of the entire production. So, how do you guys, I mean, I have to say that being a guitarist and taking care of so many things, it's always very important for any producer to take care of every little detail when it comes to an album. So I'm really happy to see how he managed to do that. So I think you guys are much more comfortable having Joe take care of this instead of bringing in some outsider in and let him take care of the job.
Well, definitely. Working in his studio makes things a lot easier. Makes things a lot cheaper for us as well. So
right.
we can spend more time working out ideas and developing things, and without being on the clock, so to speak. So yeah, it was a very relaxed and comfortable environment to record in. Maybe in future, we're not opposed to potentially bringing someone in to help produce, but it just hasn't. The need hasn't really come up.
Hasn't come up, right?
Yeah.
I understand.
So, yeah, I guess, we'll see how we go in the future.
How it goes. That's right. Now, Jason has been more like some of the fans have totally cherished his vocals, whereas, some fans didn't like the vocals in the last two albums, the way, the alternating sections between the high screams and low. But on this album, I was very impressed with Jason. I mean, he's having that perfect mid-range right now, which is expanding, and it's really cool to see that he's having that more focused experience, and which sounds healthier and even natural.
Yeah. He actually wrote all the lyrics for the album too, which is something he hadn't done previously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped a lot with the actual phrasing of his vocal delivery. And he did spend a lot more time tracking the vocals,
Mm-hmm.
demoing, getting the ideas right, and if something wasn't completely how he wanted it, he would change it and redo it. And just again, just evolving. He wanted to do some clean sections in the album as well, which feature in a few of the songs. And I guess it's just doing stuff we haven't done before, just coming back to that ethos of always trying to evolve things and change.
Right. Sounds really great. So taking these songs live is where magic is gonna happen. So what are the plans of touring for this album? I mean, you guys must be having you have planned for a long tour. So what all areas different countries are you guys exploring this time?
Well, the first tour is going to be a tour of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go out with Goat Whore,
Awesome.
and then Disentomb, who are another killer band in Australia, and then a bunch of other really cool local bands for different sections of the tour. So that's going to go for 3 weeks. Then we're looking at doing some Japanese stuff. We've got a few shows in Japan.
Awesome.
in June.
Yeah, you guys are going with Neo Obliviscaris, right?
Yeah, and Flesh God Apocalypse.
Right.
So there'll be some cool shows. And then, we're just working on some European stuff at the moment, and hopefully some US stuff later in the year.
Awesome. And you guys were part of Summer Slaughter tour, I think around 6 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, so I hope you guys come to States and explore different areas, because you guys have such a well-established fan following.
Yeah, it's getting the balance right, because we do all have to work day jobs as well.
Yeah.
So, and for us just to get the States is, we have to spend $20,000 before we've played a show.
Right.
So it's challenging. So we just got to wait for the right
opportunity.
Yeah. So we are talking about it, and hopefully we can make it happen later this year.
Awesome. No festival dates for this year?
There's going to be a couple of European ones in August, and I'm just waiting for some more dates. So I've got to crack the whip there and see what's going on.
Awesome. And that brings me to the question that any plans of coming to India?
I'd love to come. If someone can bring us, I would definitely love to come. We have been talking to a few people about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like there is the potential to make this happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just hope.
That's right, because
it all works out.
I'm in touch with the promoter that I think might be taking you on a UK tour.
Yes.
Yeah, this year. So we work closely with them. So since she's also an Indian and she's currently in UK, so I was probably wondering they might have a chance for us to see you guys live for the first time.
I think so. It's looking pretty promising.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to come over.
Awesome. Now, what's with Australia, man? You have bands like Die Artist Murder, and of course, you guys been there for more than a decade. You have Neo Obliviscaris. I mean, the extreme metal side of Australia is now popping up and coming up with some amazing bands.
Oh, it's great. I just think with obviously the internet and social media allowing bands from anywhere to reach fans from all over the world. So there's always been killer bands out here, but a lot of the time it's just been the distribution of getting the music out there.
Right.
Now, social media's changed music. It doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah.
So the attention is really coming back to some of the awesome bands we've got.
And
there's great bands. Bands like King Parrot.
Yeah, King Parrot. Sorry, I forgot about them.
Yeah, and they're just working non-stop. And, so that's awesome. There's heaps of really cool shit going on.
Absolutely. Now, before I conclude the interview date, how about you define the highly anticipated self-titled album in just one sentence?
You're putting me on the spot.
That's the intention.
Yeah. Well, it's the best thing we can do at this point in time.
Wow, is that what I expect from David?
I hope so. Yes. It's very different for me, but it's also exciting as well. It's new, fresh, and different.
Awesome, David. And I like somebody right behind you is I think shredding on bike or something.
A chainsaw, I think.
Yeah, there you go, chainsaw. So thanks once again, David. It was an honor having a chat with you. You have a wonderful day ahead, and I look forward to see you guys in States, if not in India.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.